Hello, and welcome to Direct Approach with Wayne Moorehead, an exclusive podcast brought to you by Direct Selling News. Today is the Thanksgiving holiday in the U.S., and we want to take this opportunity to express our appreciation for your support of this podcast and DSN throughout the year. In today's episode, host Wayne Moorehead is joined by Emre Tuna, president of Farmasi. Although a relative newcomer to the direct selling channel, Farmasi was founded more than 70 years ago in Turkey by Emre's grandfather as a company specializing in pharmaceutical products. In 2010, the family-run business decided to convert the company to a direct selling business model, and today it boasts more than $447 million in sales and is ranked 30th on the 2021 DSN Global 100 list. In 2019, Emre, at 25 years old, took on the task of expanding Farmasi's operations to the U.S., and today, Farmasi manufactures more than 2,000 products, is active in 29 markets globally, and ships to 125 countries. Although Emre has grown up in the business, he officially joined Farmasi operations in 2016 after studying business administration and industrial engineering at the University of Southern California. As a third-generation leader for the company, Emre, along with his brother Sinan, is leading the company into the next phase of its growth and attracting a new base of customers and distributors with its youth-oriented mindset. In this interview, Emre and Wayne will talk about how manufacturing their own product and packaging has helped Farmasi save time and money, as well as how the nature of their business strategy allowed them to pivot and grow during the pandemic. Emre will also talk about their strategic move into the popular wellness space and how they are capturing Gen Z customers and influencers. But before we dive into the interview, we want to invite you to join the new DSN VIP community. The VIP community is a new way to keep up with what's happening in the channel by receiving the industry news and information you want most sent in text straight to your phone. If text is your preferred means for communication, simply text the word JOIN to 214-239-3043 and follow the prompts to add DSN as a contact in your phone. There's no separate app to download. It literally shows up in your phone's text messages. And the best part is that you get to customize your news feed by telling us what type of news and stories you want most. Never miss out on what's happening in the channel again. Text us at 214-239-3043 and join the DSN VIP community today. Now, a word from our sponsor.
The influence of social media is undeniable. On average, people spend over 2 hours a day connecting with family, friends, and brands across social media. But did you know that it's also the way that most consumers prefer to discover new products? In fact, over 60% of people say they discover new products on Instagram. Additionally, Forbes reports that 78% of salespeople using social selling outsell their peers. To compete in today's marketplace, you must capitalize on your most valuable asset, your social media influencers. Introducing Now Social, the smartest way to effectively grow and monetize your network. Just as we revolutionized the way distributors share content, offer samples, and sell products, we're now bringing the same innovation to social selling. Now Social simplifies the process of creating and scheduling content and allows you to manage posts and engagements across all platforms. And even if your distributors have never attempted social selling before, Now Social empowers anyone in your field to become a successful micro-influencer. As more and more consumers turn to social media to connect with brands and discover new products, it's more important than ever to have the most effective social selling strategy. What are you waiting for? Your time is now.
Now please help me welcome your host, Wayne Moorehead, and today's guest, Emre Tuna, president of Farmasi.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of DSN's Direct Approach podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Moorehead, and I'm very, very excited to be joined today all the way from Turkey, the president of Farmasi, Emre Tuna. Emre, thank you very much.
Well, Wayne, thank you. It is my pleasure to be here.
I really want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're busy. I know it's end of day there and that you're probably getting ready to head home. And at this point, I normally ask those that we're interviewing how they got to the company that they're at, the path that led them to their current role, to their current company. And yours is a really unique story. It's something that you've been around your whole life. Do you mind just taking a couple minutes and telling us a little bit about yourself and what led you to the role there in the company?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a unique experience in my case because this is my family company. I came into life with Farmasi about 27 years ago. I'm 27 years old. And I spent all my life and childhood within the company in various positions. I mean, when I was a kid, I was spending my weekends in the factory with the company. So since I was a kid, I actually get acquainted with the company. And, usually family companies, the dads are pretty serious about the company and the business because it's their motivation. They love, it's their baby. And so I spent all my life in the company doing everything. So that's why, I have quite a lot of knowledge about the business, about cosmetics, about production, and a lot of things. So I was born in Istanbul, in Turkey, and this is my family company since my grandfather. I studied high school, everything in Turkey, and then at college, I went to Los Angeles. I went to University of Southern California, USC, and I studied business and industrial engineering over there. At the same time, I became a pilot. So as hobby, I fly airplanes. So I did this when I was studying in college. When college was over, I graduated in 3.5 years. I came back to my hometown on a Friday evening. And on Monday morning, 7 a.m., I was at the factory. But something unique happened to me is when I started Monday morning, that week, our sales director in Turkey, which was our major country and major market those days, the guy resigned. So what happened is I started taking care of Turkey operations. As time passed, I moved into global operations. And personally, I started up Farmasi in about 8 different countries up until now. Majority of them are in Europe, and then we have US, Canada. I started these companies up and I just helped them to grow the business. So fast forward now, we're in 2021. I worked in almost all departments here. Now I'm taking care of majority of the global operations in Farmasi and taking care of IT, information technology department within the company. So nowadays, that's what I do. I personally take care of the business accounting for about 60% of our whole revenue. The remaining of the departments are split mostly between my brother and my dad. So the whole family is working. Brother is responsible for marketing and other countries. Dad is responsible for production, and he's the board and he is the top ranking person within the company. And my mom is in the company as well. So we're a fully family company. My mom takes care of new product development. So we actually continue as a family company. Every single member works almost full time. So that's something actually unique about Farmasi.
Yeah, that is a really cool story. And what a great experience to be introduced and exposed to the company, to the business world at such a young age. And I'm sure that along the way, it really got, the wheels turning about how the business worked and different opportunities, different customer segments. So, by the time, you were probably even, heading off to college, you had more experience than most executives and, many MBAs. You had incredible insight into the company. And I think it's really great too, that you get to do it as a family. So I think that's really cool that there's people that you can lean on, that everybody, plays an important role in building the family. I'm sure that's an incredible experience.
Exactly. That is something that motivates us a lot. So when you're working all together as a family, that really, keeps your heart happy and just motivates you, because then you really feel this is a family company. And I do treat all of my employees and distributors as the same way as well. So we have a term, we call it Farmasi family. Everyone is family here.
That's really cool. So do you have any type of family rules that there's no discussing business at the dinner table or anything like that, or it's all open? Everything's on the table.
The only rule we have in the family is we just discuss business.
Okay.
Because my dad is a workaholic for the last 40 years. I mean, we don't discuss anything else. I mean, even though we try to discuss about personal matters, it just switches back into business.
I'm sure it circles back to business. That is really amazing that you all get to do that as a family. What a cool bonding experience. So as you mentioned, the company has a really long history. Been in business, more than 70 years now, primarily during that time competing in the retail channel. But a few years ago, you made the decision to transition into the direct selling channel. Can you talk a little bit about that decision-making process and why you chose direct selling to transition into?
Absolutely. If you don't mind, I would like to start a little bit more
please.
from the historical side, because I want to get insight on what's going on. So my grandfather, he was a doctor. He graduated college in Germany and then came back to Turkey. And he founded one of the first pharmaceutical manufacturing companies in Turkey. So he was formulating and manufacturing and selling those pharmaceutical items like painkillers, cough syrups, whatever you imagine. Majority of the things we were actually producing. We did this business for about 40 years. Beginning of 1990s, second generation was in the company, my dad, and he decided to switch into cosmetics business. And his aim was to produce cosmetics in pharmaceutical quality. In those days, we didn't have our own brand. So we were contract manufacturer for large retailers around the world, including many in Europe, in Russia, in America. So we were manufacturing for them. A little bit more forward, in 2003, we decided to have our own brand. So the brand Farmasi was born. So after that moment, we changed our mindset and we said, we want to have a brand and we want to sell our brand. We sold that Farmasi brand to about 130 different countries, which makes you and forces you to obey all those different regulations and everything from different continents. There are very different regulations all around the world. So we were selling Farmasi in different countries, but in an old-fashioned and traditional way. So we were selling it to a distributor to maybe wholesaler, market, supermarket, pharmacies. So it was just a regular brick and mortar style. In 2010, one of our ex-employees came up with an idea of trying direct selling. And when we searched a little bit more, we said, it's a good idea. And then we started doing direct selling business in Turkey. In 2 to 3 years, we saw it was growing very well. Then we started launching this business in different countries, one by one, mostly starting from the European territory and then expanding it to Africa, America, sometimes Asia. And we just grew one by one. Fast forward, in 2021, we do operate in 29 markets. Majority of them are operated by ourselves, by the corporate. Few of them, we have strategic partnership. A local partner takes care of the business, but depending on the rules that we set for the company, for the brand. But majority of the markets, we take care of them, meaning we have our company there, we have our employees, we have the warehouse, stocks, technology, websites, everything we take care. This led us to become 32nd largest direct selling company by 2019 and 30th by 2020. And we are improving. Every year we grew and grow and grow. Now, if we talk about this current situation, we have about 2,000 employees globally, maybe 750 in Turkey, remaining in other countries. One of the most unique things about Farmasi, we do own the largest cosmetics factory in Europe. So we do produce everything in-house. It is an integrated factory with 9 different factories in a single location, which I'm going to go into details later on. But that's what we have done. And now on, our goal is to start up in other countries and become one of the top 10 largest direct selling companies in the world. Let's go back to 2010. So we switched into direct selling. We didn't exactly switch in one day. We started doing direct selling in Turkey. We kept our retail business in other countries as well. As time passed, we moved those countries. The ones that we were able, we changed them into direct selling. The ones we were not able, we said, we have to stop within some time because we want to focus on direct selling. That is the story of how we switched and how that happened. It was an idea from an ex-employee. It was a good idea. So we're glad nowadays we stopped all the retail business, excluding probably 2 or 3 countries. We have some strategic partners there, which we have been working for a long time. So we don't want to say, we're going to stop our business. We do provide them, but in very strategic locations. For instance, in Emirates, in Dubai, direct selling business is not that big. The population is not that big. That's why we keep the retail business there. We have 2 very nice retail shops in the best shopping malls, and we keep it. Our friends there take care of that business. So in just these unique cases, we let it continue, but now we're all into direct selling.
Incredible. What a vast operation that your family has built over the years. Really incredible. Congrats on all the success. So as your employee came to you with the idea to transition into direct selling, and you and your brother and family did the analysis, what appealed to you most about direct selling? What was it that after you kind of looked under the hood, you said, that's the channel that we want our brand to be in?
First of all, when we looked at the numbers that direct selling companies were producing, which, a direct selling company is usually, or the brand is usually not as popular as a retail brand. Since the retail brand has that brick and mortar stores, people see it. These companies invest in marketing, TV ads, more than direct selling companies do. But it was very strange to understand that these direct selling companies were actually producing a lot of income. Strangely, much more than we expected. Even in top 10 cosmetics companies in the world, we have 2 or 3 direct selling companies. So that was the most appealing thing. So it was an eye-opening idea there. And then we said, in our country, in our home country, we don't have any competitors. So the competitors were only global companies. I mean, the top 10 direct selling companies, they are operating in Turkey as well. And then we said we didn't have any Turkish companies doing this, so why not? So that was the moment that this idea became more appealing to us. And then, we started.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible. I love that you approached it from such a strategic perspective, that you looked at the competitive landscape. You looked at the ability, going back to a couple podcasts ago where we talked to Jacob from Monat, it really goes back to the where to play and how to win. And I love that you looked at it from such a strategic perspective and knew that you could compete there. Another thing you said that I'm always amazed by, you talked about as you looked at direct selling, how many large brands are actually competing in that channel. And it does always amaze me that some of the largest brands in their categories globally, so skincare, makeup, weight loss, hair care, they are in direct selling. And there isn't that awareness that those traditional retail brands or CPG brands get. And I think it is just an incredible opportunity for us in the channel as a whole to really help paint that picture, to help people understand the scale and potential of the channel. But I bet it was a really, really cool experience, moving into the channel like that. And I'm sure, significant changes. And that's one thing I want to ask you about right now. Having such a long history, such a rich legacy, most channels is going to be a competitive advantage. But as you're looking at it from a change perspective, there's a lot that goes into that change. There's a lot of disruption that can happen there. So it definitely presents certain challenges with all that complexity and size and scale and moving parts. What were some of the main obstacles that you encountered as you shifted into direct selling?
Well, actually, there are a couple of very nice points. So the first issue that we had is size of the products. If you are a retail brick and mortar, you don't really care about shipping costs because you ship ATL or whatever, containers, and you just deliver it there. The customer picks it up. But in direct selling industry, you ship to the end user within small boxes. So the weight of the product and the volume actually changed the cost of shipping. So that was one of the major things. Before, we had much larger sized products. After direct selling, we had to make them smaller sizes to save on shipping a little bit. So that was one of the major changes that happened in the company. The second major change was the mentality, because before you are a B2B company, business to business. Now, even though we're not exactly B2C, we are almost 70 to 80% B2C, business to consumer company. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have distributors, but we now are selling our own brand to the end users. So we have to take a lot of importance. We have to pay attention to the quality and customer service after that. So that was a big change from business to consumer. This is actually a big change because all the dynamics change within the company.
I'm curious about one fact. Were your consumers, obviously people have been buying your products for decades, and were they able to kind of transition with you and come with you into the direct selling channel and continue to purchase the products? Were they able to find you? Was it disruptive for them, or it was fairly seamless?
Well, I think we found new customers, I think. Mm-hmm. Most of the time we found new customers. So one example that really showed this was happening in Romania a few years ago when we first launched. For about 20 years, we were in retail and markets. And then suddenly, within a few months, we switched into direct selling. We were expecting a lot more issues happening there, but strangely, it turned out to be very well. People were happy. People continued to buy, and they became distributors. It turned out to be very successful. We weren't expecting that. Very successful.
No, that's incredible. You have found continued an amazing success if you transitioned into a new channel and starting to conquer that channel as well. On the other side of the coin of that last question, there's also an advantage to coming into a situation or a channel new with fresh eyes. And that is that kind of new perspective that you're not going to be limited really kind of by the dogma or the practices of the past, but you have kind of a blank slate to do things differently and maybe even be more disruptive than some of the incumbents that are in the channel. So what are some of the main things that you wanted to do differently in direct selling? As you looked across the landscape, what were some of the things that you wanted to do differently or better than other direct selling companies?
Well, I think nowadays the most important thing is understanding where the industry is going and what's happening in the industry. Usually, direct selling business is perceived as a little bit more old-fashioned, which I believe is not. And we tried to focus on this belief that direct selling is the business of the future. And when we say that, we focused on what young people, new university graduates want. Usually, university graduates or younger people, younger generation, new generation, let's say, they want to have more freedom. More freedom means they want to work based on their schedule. They want to have an infinite income opportunity. They want to work through social media because that is how they were grown up. They know what's going on. So we combined this idea in direct selling, because in direct selling, you work on your own time zone. No one asks you what to do. You don't have your boss. You're your boss. You work on social media, digital videos and everything. So we said, you know what? Everyone thinks this is old school. We think this is the future. So we always focused on that. This is what the world needs now. So we always pushed on that aspect, and we tried to attract younger people as well. Obviously, we like to have everyone in our company, but we just want to change this idea of how people perceive direct selling. So that was the main area we focused on. The management team, the C-level team in our company is pretty young as well. And this lets us to manage this company with really newer generation ideas. We're focusing a lot on social media, online presence. We don't want people to have in-person meetings. We want them to reach thousands of people during a live. So that's one of the things that, probably nowadays, most of the direct selling companies are trying to do this. But what we think makes us different is, as the managing group and as the president, we are actually showing that with my age and my thing. So I want to show and present this company as the future of direct selling. So that was one of the things that really we paid a lot of attention in.
Absolutely, and you've succeeded in doing that. You touched on a lot there. I want to circle back on a couple ideas that you introduced there. So one is around the concept of direct selling being kind of old-fashioned. And it's interesting that there are some of those perceptions around. I believe that some of the practices, need to evolve, could be a little bit outdated. But I am amazed how relevant it is in today's social and digital world. It is, as you mentioned, how everyone is and will continue to do business in the future. And I know that you made a really concerted effort to target a younger demographic, and you've really been able to do that. And that's evident in the products and the brand, in the language and lexicon that you use. And I'm curious, with that kind of Gen Z, the younger generation that you're attracting now, how do they perceive direct selling? Do they have some of the misconceptions or negative preconceived notions of past generations, or are they able to look at it with kind of a blank slate and see this amazing potential of direct and social selling?
Yes, great point. Well, first, I just want to give an example. So nowadays, cool and new idea is affiliate marketing, which is very new. People think it's the future, it's not old. And affiliate marketing is actually almost identical to what we're doing in direct selling. It's very similar. Very similar. So we always try to explain it through that. The affiliate marketing is, we say direct selling is affiliate marketing plus down generations and other people. So you earn commissions from them as well. So we give you all the factors and advantages of affiliate marketing, plus we add that team building area. When we come into this Gen Z ideas, obviously they still have this ideas and concepts, as you mentioned. And I think the most significant reason for that is when I talk to them, they say, my grandma was selling XYZ. Mm-hmm. I think that really creates that idea. Even their grandma was selling these products. So yes, they do still have, but if not only us, but also the remaining industry, the other companies, if we have an effort together, I think we can change this, because we have a lot of advantage and opportunity there. As I mentioned, all these facts about what new generation wants, we have it. I think this is changing. We're changing it. Is it completely changed? Absolutely not. No. There are still those kind of ideas, but this is a joint effort of the industry, and I feel like everyone is focusing a lot on digitalization and younger generations.
Absolutely, the channel is very focused on it. We realize that it's one of the main challenges we have. These misperceptions out there, kind of in the ether. But I agree with you in that I think this next generation, they're used to people sharing products, online, digitally. They're used to affiliates. They're used to influencers. It's just completely normal to them. So they don't, again, have those same preconceived notions or any stigma around sharing products that people love digitally, socially. So I think we are going to make headways. We're making headways together as a channel. But I also think there's a lot of promise in time that as this next generation, the millennial and the Gen Z, as they continue to age and develop, that there's incredible promise for the direct selling channel as a whole. And that's one of the things that I'm most excited about.
One example how we try to expedite this is we call our distributors as beauty influencers. So by these little wordings and stuff, we always try to create that environment. Also, an advantage about this Gen Z is since Gen Z actually uses products and shares those products in their daily life without expecting any income or anything, they're used to this. So you really don't have to teach them how to do it. You just have to convince them that this is for them.
Absolutely. The income can be kind of secondary or even an added benefit, where I think they'll be surprised as I've chatted with a lot of the customers in that demographic that they're like, you mean I get to earn money from sharing products? I mean, they're going to do it anyway. So now they just, partnering with the right direct selling company is just going to give them the opportunity to add the income component to that. So
very significant.
Very, very significant. So one of the most unique aspects about your company, at least from my perspective, is being based there in Turkey. Most of the companies that we interview here are going to be U.S. based and look kind of out from that center of gravity. Again, as you mentioned, you're currently in 29 markets around the world, and you've only recently entered the U.S. in the last 2 or 3 years. What has surprised you most about the U.S. market, and how do you see it being different from other international markets?
It is very different. Very different. So U.S. is completely different than anything in the world. Very different. Europe, Africa, everything, completely different. So first, replicated websites and selling online. This concept is not very popular in the other side of the world nowadays. People still go in person, they sell in person. So this was one of the things that is very different to US. Before US, we didn't have replicated websites because we never had the demand. No one asked for it. But in US, that is mandatory. Everyone uses that. And of course, the geography is also an effect. Everything is large and distances are big. So that's one of the things that was very different. Second, I haven't had any customer or distributor that questioned about ingredients. Anything, is this allergy free, not free, that's free, this free? So they were questioning a lot. So we usually didn't post ingredients of our products in our websites in other countries. So that was not a common thing and people wouldn't requested it. In the US, people are actually questioning that a lot. So that was another thing that surprised us. I mean, we were getting questions every day.
Interesting. Have you had to shift formulas or change out ingredients based on, kind of that savvy consumer that's going to understand the ingredient label and the nutritional panel?
Yes, of course. Well, for instance, in skincare, majority of the world likes to have some scent in the skincare products, some fragrance, a little bit, what they want. In US, fragrance-free in skincare is big. So we had to revise formulations for that. There are many other examples like this. We try to do whatever our customer and distributor wants, but obviously these products are sold within so many countries. So you have to keep in mind that you have different, users. So we're trying our best. We can't change everything, but we're trying to find a middle ground.
Absolutely. So do you have a team there, at HQ, or do you have a team here that's focused on the US or the North America region? How have you set that up structurally?
In every country, we have our local team. So local team means general manager, marketing department, fulfillment, almost whole team. But majority of the team is here in headquarters. So here we're close to 1,000 people. So people here takes care of production, new product development, and all kind of supporting services to those countries. But in each and every single country, we have all the team there as well. Usually, the general managers in countries are, we usually send the general manager from the headquarters. So we ask them to move there and take care of the company since they know the culture and the company for a long time. That's how we approach. We usually have our general manager sent from here, and the rest of the team, anyone else in the team, is local. especially the sales and marketing team. We always keep it local and local. Nowadays in North America, we have team in Mexico, we have team in America, in the US, and we have a team for Canada. The Canada and US teams work together because it's a very similar markets,
Yeah.
They work together a lot, and the language is the same, mostly. But the Mexico team is completely different. They have their own infrastructure and everything. So that's our approach. We send the general manager from the headquarters, and the whole team remaining is local.
That's great. We had an interesting conversation with our last guest, with Prasad Gankanda, the COO of Young Living, where we talked about this, degree of centralization and decentralization, and I think you hit the mark there, where you have to have sales and marketing that are attuned to the culture, whatever the market is, wherever the geography is around the world, that understands the local culture, the needs, wants, and desires of the customers and the distributors. And a lot of the others you can kind of keep centralized there at the home office. But I think that's a really important point that you brought up, to keep sales and marketing there close to the field, close to the customer, to make sure that they can really deliver on their needs.
I can give you one example.
Please.
Quite excited when I heard this about this localization. So in Slovakia and Czech Republic, Eastern Europe, these people really like carrot. And the reason they like carrot is it has an ingredient or something inside called beta carotene. It's an ingredient. So people are in love with carrot. I don't know why. It's a local thing. Mm-hmm. So when we made a new sun care line, we put it inside. We had carrot in it. We didn't do it on purpose. And it sold amazing. It sold more than any other company combined sold in the world. So wow. Localization is very strange. So you have to be very local.
Yeah, you can't just export whatever works in the home market and expect that to really catch fire in another market. I'll share an example from my world. I was at a natural health and wellness company, and from kind of a key benefits or positioning standpoint, here in the US, we were very much a natural products company. That was the dominant purchase driver for our distributors and customers. But yet the US customer wanted those natural products to be validated scientifically. So we also had a really important and a really strong kind of R&D, science and testing, manufacturing arm. And it was interesting, as we started rolling out into other international markets, a lot of them didn't care about the natural positioning as much. They wanted the science, they wanted the testing, they wanted the validation, they wanted the ingredients. And so it was interesting where we didn't change who we were as a company, but we looked at it more as we adjusted the sequencing and the priority of these purchase drivers. So we really led with that science messaging, especially in Asia Pacific market, and then brought in natural as kind of more of a secondary benefit. But I think it is really important to not just export whatever you're doing there, but take time to understand the market, those dynamics, who the consumer is, and what their needs and wants are.
Definitely. Like, all are different. Some countries care about pricing. They want it to be as cheap as possible, don't really care about the rest. Some countries want it more expensive, but really high quality with testing and everything. Really, every country has its own dynamics. So we have to agree with those.
Absolutely. I want to shift to talk about the product line. You have incredible products. That's one of the reasons that you've been a dominant player for more than 70 years now. And one of the main benefits of a strong brand and having strong brand associations is the ability to kind of leverage and extend that brand into new opportunities, into new categories. And you've done that over time. You've extended into makeup, into skincare, and most recently into health and wellness. Yes. It's also important to note that brands are elastic. You can stretch them into these new categories, but if you stretch them into a category that they don't have permission in the minds of the consumer to go to, you can stretch it so far that it breaks. And it looks like you've done an incredible job in pulling the brand into these new markets and kind of repositioning and retelling the story where these just feel right. These categories feel like they fit. They're part of a bigger story. They ladder up to a higher message. How over time have you determined which are the right categories to move into, and how do you know it's the right time?
Well, if we have to summarize, we are a beauty company, including cosmetics, skincare, makeup. We are a beauty company, fragrance. It's all about beauty. There were two things that we looked when we launched our wellness line. First, what is being sold in the direct selling market? So that's important because there are certain things that can be sold very well within direct selling. There are certain things which are a little bit more challenging. For instance, if you're buying health and wellness or makeup or skincare, you really care about your friend or your relatives' ideas and opinions. If someone you trust comes to you and tells, you know what, honey, I use this product and it really helped me. It helped with me with my skin and whatever. You trust that. So skincare, makeup, health and wellness fit into this word of mouth marketing, really fits there. That's why we looked into what is being sold within direct selling market. Basically, there are just 4 or 5 different categories that is being sold within the world for direct selling, which is beauty, meaning makeup, skincare, health and wellness, home and kitchenware, basically, and a little bit clothing. So these are the major 4 markets I can say that dominates 90% of the industry. And there's a reason for this, because these things can be sold easily with word of mouth marketing and recommendation by friends. So that's how we focused on this. We said the closest thing to us is health and wellness. And we said beauty cannot be achieved only by external apply, but it comes inside out. So beauty from within, inside to out. So you have to use your external products, but also you have to keep your inside beautiful as well. So that's how we combine beauty and health and wellness. We said, not only we're going to use our creams, but we got to take our collagens, because these two things actually support each other. What a cream does is increases collagen synthesis on the skin. What collagen does is basically increases collagen synthesis from inside. So we combined it this way. There were basically 2 reasons. 1, we looked at the market, what is being sold easily. 2, how can we logically connect this new category within our current portfolio? So these were the 2 main approaches we had.
It sounds like pulling together a really cohesive story, cohesive positioning to make sure that these products fit together from a brand standpoint were really important. What are some of the other things that you and the company did to ensure that moving into a new category was going to be successful, that you brought the consumer along for the ride?
Well, obviously we listened to our distributors quite a lot, so we asked these questions. But one of the important things that we decided later on, when we initially launched our health and wellness line, we were not manufacturing these products in-house. Well, we were manufacturing everything in the beauty side, yes, but for health and wellness, no, we had our third-party suppliers, they were producing for us. And then once we saw the demand and how we can be more successful and advantageous, we said we have to manufacture these in-house. So that would give us a lot of advantages. First, speed. If we have a new product idea, we can produce it much faster in-house than outsourced. Second, capacity. So let's say something happened, we launched it. It went very well. We don't want to stay out of stock for 6 months. This gives us a huge advantage. So far, we haven't finalized the facility. It's under construction now. It will be live within the next 2 to 3 months. And we're having all kinds of infrastructure there, powder products, liquids, capsules, anything you imagine. We will effervescence, anything. So that is one of the important things we're actually trying to do. And that is something we did to make sure we are successful within this launch.
That's really interesting. I want to transition into manufacturing and product development in just a second. I want to go back to something you said a little bit earlier and then talk more about your manufacturing, because it has been such a huge competitive advantage for you. So looking at this extension into health and wellness, it's obviously to generate growth. Three main levers for growth are going to be new markets, new products, and new customers. Sometimes in direct selling, this moving into a new category doesn't always pull in that new consumer. It doesn't always make the pie bigger. But there are other strategic advantages, relevancy, momentum, excitement in the field. So there's lots of other reasons, even outside of revenue, to launch into a new category. I'm curious for you, has there been kind of that incrementality, that lift from a revenue standpoint from going into a new category, or has it been more about kind of exciting the field?
Yes, first of all, it does have that increased revenue, especially after pandemic. The share
Absolutely.
of health and wellness grew significantly. So really nowadays people take care of themselves more than before. And that helped companies like us, health and wellness companies, that really helped us. Another important thing when we decided to move into this was we looked at our future plans. Where do we want to start up our company? Where do we want to launch? And currently we dominated, or we're actually working in a lot of European, African, and North American countries. The whole North America, almost we're working there. The next plan for Farmasi is Asian markets, meaning Malaysia, China, Korea, Japan, Thailand, Indonesia, India. These are huge, huge, huge countries. And when we look at their direct selling business, in Asia, the share of health and wellness is much, much, much higher than the share of health and wellness in the United States, North America, and Europe. So Asian market is mostly about skincare, health and wellness. That's it. Makeup, beauty, much less. So we said, if we're gonna go into these countries, we have to have the infrastructure to be successful there. That's why we invested in these areas. So it was more about our, long-term vision. What do we want to do, and how can we be successful there? Because I've looked at a lot of examples, a lot of nice beauty companies who launched in Asia. These are top 5 DS companies in the world. And the ones who focused on makeup and beauty mostly failed. The ones had more affordable pricing mostly failed. The ones had skincare plus health and wellness plus a little bit more expensive mostly succeeded. So that was a decision point for us.
That's really interesting. I'm glad that you're keeping your eye on the market and what's going on, understanding the dynamics that are happening in categories, in countries, and using that as some of the variables and some of the criteria to decide what to do going forward, which products and markets to launch. I think that's really important to understand kind of those macro trends that are happening to make it even more successful. And I agree, moving into the wellness space right now is a really smart move from a category standpoint. If your brand has the ability and the permission to extend in there, the growth, the CAGR in that category right now is pretty incredible.
With health and wellness is always more challenging. The regulations and registrations, the customs procedures are always more complicated. It is not as easy as beauty, but it will, we hope it will be rewarding.
No, absolutely. I want to shift back into discussing manufacturing because it is such an important part of your business. For a time, as you're aware, there was a movement for companies to outsource any function that wasn't considered core. And I'm using air quotes around core for those that are listening. And for many companies, manufacturing wasn't considered core. Fast forward to today, companies are really changing their tune and realizing that just-in-time inventory isn't always the best practice, and that not having product is core to your business. So having product in your warehouse to sell is core. It's probably the most core thing you can absolutely do. So talk for a minute about how owning the manufacturing has been really important and vital to help your business scale and to remain relevant and even in business during these times.
It is one of the most significant advantages we have. as mentioned earlier, I can change the shifts. I can change the production line. I can stop something, put another thing. I can do R&D within the next 10 days for a new product. We can launch a new product within the next 15 to 20 days. This is a huge advantage. Plus, your costs are half of what you would get from an outsourced third-party manufacturer. So it has a lot of advantages, and we use this very well. I feel like we are a very effective facility here. Maybe about 2 million pieces are manufactured each day within our factory. We call it Farmasi because we have like residential areas, living rooms, gym.
Oh, that's great.
Swimming pool. We have a lot of things here. So that is the first step. So manufacturing your own goods is the first step. What you can do furthermore to expedite this and help this is manufacture your packaging as well. So when I say packaging, the plastic packaging, I don't have, like, for instance, the plastic packaging, all this stuff, we do manufacture those things in-house as well, which actually saves us a lot of time. This is very significant, but of course we have to keep in mind that we were initially a manufacturer, and then we became a marketing company and then a direct selling company. So we have that expertise for the last 40 years in manufacturing. If we count pharmaceutical, 70 years. So we have a lot of know-how in this business. If a company does not have manufacturing know-how, I really think it's not a good idea to go into that path, because they're going to spend a lot of time, they're going to spend a lot of energy in that, and they will forget about the marketing side of the business. So it is challenging. I highly don't recommend companies who don't expertise in this to jump into this, but obviously it has countless of advantages.
Absolutely. Yeah, some of the companies in the channel that grew the most during 2020 had significant either control over their manufacturing or significant influence over their manufacturing and supply chain that allowed them to do just what you said. It allowed them to pivot, to shift to creating, even a lot of them hand sanitizer. A company that I was at, that was one of the big shifts that we made during 2020 is to start manufacturing, incredible amounts of hand sanitizer. And we were able to stay in stock on a lot of those things. But I think you're right too, that don't just go jump into this. You're going to spend a lot of time and money, or waste a lot of time and money, and probably lose a lot of focus trying to get into the manufacturing game. But if you've got those capabilities internally, you can continue to build and scale those out as you launch into new categories or introduce new products to bring new manufacturing online to really kind of own your destiny. And I think more and more companies are going to start doing that, or, whether building or acquiring that capability. That's another thing you can do is just go acquire that capability and to pull it in-house. I know another thing that's really important to you, product quality, product development. You have an incredible research and development arm there in the company. And how important is that to you to keep that internally as well? Have you ever looked externally for innovation, or is it something that you always want to do and keep internally there?
Well, right now our R&D department is about 30 plus people, mostly engineers. They do work coherently with largest raw material suppliers in the world. There are, let's say, a handful of large raw material suppliers, and these raw material suppliers have their own R&D team as well. So they have new patented ingredients and everything. So with their knowledge and their R&D, and also having the R&D in-house, is actually, I think, pretty sufficient. You don't have to actually have a third-party R&D as well. So this is more or less enough. The good thing about having it in-house is agility, speed. You can, produce things faster, correct things faster. One, I think, unique thing about us is we have a rule in the company. If we are launching a new product, that product has to be signed off by a family member. For now, we're doing this. This might not be forever, but that is good because whomever signs it takes the responsibility of the quality of that product. So this is one thing that we do nowadays. And it's actually good because even if you feel like very little, something is bad there, just a little tiny thing, you just tell them to revise that. That's something we do currently, which is a good practice. We love it. But in the long run, I mean, we have to change these.
No, that doesn't always scale, but it seems to have served you really well to this point. I think you and your brother and your family, are the visionaries. They are the stewards of the brand. And it's important to ensure that whatever product you launch is on brand. And getting back to our previous conversation, I think that's where so many companies and brands stumble is they introduce products that take them into places that they don't have the relevancy or permission to go. And I think there's nothing more destructive to a brand than introducing the wrong product. I mean, I guess you could have kind of a PR nightmare or, some type of manufacturing issue. But I just think as kind of a general practice, keeping that product strategy really tight is really important because it can get out of hand so quickly. We've all seen there can be SKU proliferation. And before you know it, you don't even resemble the company that you were a few years ago. So I actually think that's a really smart practice to ensure that the people who know the brand the best, have that final sign off. So that's really interesting.
Because that product has my signature on it. It has me on it. So, and the company and the family. So we have to provide them something very nice.
Absolutely. And if it doesn't succeed, it's going to make family dinner pretty awkward. Right. If your signature's on that.
Don't imagine.
Oh, I'm sure. No, I can't imagine. So continuing on the brand discussion we were just having, recently, you and your brother led kind of a refresh of the brand. Can you talk a little bit about what the main objective was? Why did you go about that? Again, a company your size, it's definitely not easy. There's a lot of cost, it takes time, but it can be really important strategically. So I'm curious what your objective was with that.
Okay, well, that change was mostly driven by North American business. Okay, so the North American customer, I think, likes more sleek, clean designs, white, just cleaner. More in Europe and Turkey and other markets we operate, they still prefer a little bit more colorful designs with some images on it. So that's why we said, let's make an investment for the North American business. And we switched into a more cleaner design. We improved formulations, whatever. But the main objective was the demand coming from the North American business. So we did that. But obviously, once we did that, we were not able to revise the products in other countries as well. The ones that we were able, or the SKUs that we were able, we changed. But there were some high and really well-selling products. It's not easy to change that design because people know that product with that visual, you cannot easily change it. It was a little costly. Now, let's say for 50 products, we have two different versions, one for European, one for American. But that was the main objective. It's more about what the customer asked for in the North American business. Since we love and we invest here a lot, we decided to do that. That was the most important thing. And also the formulations in that skincare line was mostly from 2013 to 15. It's been a time now. So now newer ingredients and everything, just things launch. Every year new stuff come out. That's why we wanted to give a little revision, a shake on those products. These were the main goals.
Interesting. Yeah, I do think it's a great time to do a refresh, to incorporate that as you're changing the internal product to signal to the consumer in the market that change is happening with some type of external change. It's usually received a little bit better. So I do think that's a great strategy. And I also love your objective of just ensuring that from a relevancy standpoint, you're connecting with the customer at an emotional level. And I agree, I'm guilty of being the American that you described that loves the clean, the simple, the kind of more modern, but it is a beautiful refresh. And I think you did a really incredible job with that. So I'm glad it's resonating.
As well. I like that clean design as well. I agree.
That's great. Well, I want to kind of start closing with asking a couple questions more kind of on the personal level. So what do you think the best piece of advice that you've ever received is? And it can be personal or professional, whatever you feel.
If you want to be successful in this business, you have to understand what's going on the field. So be a part of the distributors.
Absolutely.
That is, I think, the most important advice that I received, or maybe I want to give out.
No, I actually think that's an amazing piece of advice. It's a great reminder. I do think far too often, I know I have in my career at times, operated more in a bubble and haven't kept my finger on the pulse of what's going on out there in the field. So I do think that's a great reminder for everybody. So you've got a lot on your plate. Again, a significant operation that you need to keep your arms around. With all the moving parts and complexity there at Farmasi, what keeps you up at night?
North America.
North America.
Since the time zone difference. Well, I think the thing that keeps me awake at night is, I'm always worried, like, if something will go wrong because, the only way we communicate with the customer is our website, since there's nothing else. So that is the thing that keeps me awake. Even the slight little issue we're having on the website, a little glitch, would affect the sales and everything, and their happiness as well. So that keeps me awake. I usually stay up late, wake up early to minimize that time.
Yes, the international component is, always does a number on the family life and, and the personal life as well. So on the opposite side of that, what gets you up in the morning? How do you stay inspired?
Well, I like to, every day when I go home at night before I sleep, I want to be proud of myself, of what I have done that day to my distributors. So if I look back and say, you know what, today I did nothing, that's sad. If I have done something, even a little improve, anything, a nice live, a new feature on the website, whatever it is, that is what motivates me. That's what motivates me a lot. So every day I want to do something new and improve. And when I think at the night, I want to say, yes, today I did this and it was successful. So I just don't want to have a regular day. Every day, something new has to be done.
I love variety as well. And I think it's really telling to your personality and your character that, you mentioned that what keeps you inspired is something that you're doing to impact somebody else. So it's not internally focused, it's externally focused. And I think that speaks a lot to you.
I think at this moment, our company's motivation is not monetary. I think employees and everyone is quite happy with what's going on. From now on, it's about the success. We want to be successful. We want to be very successful because other companies are. And why we won't be successful? We shouldn't be. Is there any reason? Absolutely not. So we want to be successful. And of course, since the nature of our industry, direct selling changes people's lives. Like, this is a very common saying, but it is true. You change people's lives. People were at home doing nothing. Now they run business for thousands and thousands of people. They earn money. They change other people's lives. So it's really nice. The object is very nice. The vision and mission is nice. And that really, I think, motivates everyone who is in our industry.
Absolutely. I love that as well about the industry. And I'm very grateful for those opportunities that I've had over the past 20 years to be at events and to meet distributors and hear their stories firsthand about how their lives have changed because of the company and direct selling that they've been associated with, or the products that company has provided. It's certainly fuel that I've used to keep going over the years. Absolutely.
Yep, totally agreed.
So last and final question, if you could go back and give yourself some advice prior to launching into the US market, what's something that you would have done differently?
Well, the major issues that we had was the mentality of the US customers, their expectation, their questions about ingredients and everything. So I would prefer to be a little bit more clear on that. I would make it much more visible, all the information on the website. That's one thing that I really would do if I go back. More visible, more information. Give them whatever they want so that they don't need to ask. Another thing would be, I would look into competitors a little bit more, because even though, I lived in the US and I know the culture, again, a transition from the European direct selling mentality into a US direct selling mentality took a little bit time. Maybe I could have expedited it a bit more. If I had spent a little bit more time and going into details a bit more, I would expedite it. So those were the two things I would do.
Interesting. Yeah, all that kind of centers around understanding the landscape, and it's a lesson we all learn. We've all gone through it, in our international launch career at direct selling. But you've had incredible success here in the U.S. Emre, I want to thank you for being here. You and your family have created such an incredible company, such an incredible legacy. You're doing so much for the direct selling channel around the world, and on behalf of all of us, I want to thank you for that. And thanks for taking the time today. It's been so great to chat with you.
Thank you so much, Wayne. Just final note.
Yeah.
All of the competitors, I adore them. I love them, because competition is what motivates and creates innovation. So although we are competing within each other, but this competition actually innovates the industry. And at the end of the day, we all should collaborate, because there is market for everyone, every one of us. Our goal should be increasing and expanding the market of direct selling rather than getting from each other. That's how we looked into this since the first day. So collaborating, supporting each other, and expanding this market, because there are millions and billions of people who still purchase from brick and mortar stores, markets, supermarkets. And if we collaborate, support each other, we can expand this industry. And thank you so much, Wayne. It was a wonderful video, wonderful live.
Yeah, thank you. And what an important and perfect thought and perspective to end on. Thank you for sharing that. And thanks again for all that you do. Give your family our best from all of us.
Thank you so much. Likewise. Have a great day.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in. Since 2004, DSN has proudly served the direct selling industry and the executives that lead it. Our mission is to serve, educate, and edify the channel as your go-to daily resource for breaking global news, emerging trends, and powerful stories, so you can stay informed, engaged, and always one step ahead as it relates to the business of direct selling. We invite you to subscribe to the podcast to be the first to know when new episodes are available, visit us online, and text us at 214-239-3043 to join the new DSN VIP community.